Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Murray, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of The Gift of Giving. This program focuses on nonprofits, 501c3s, and foundations based here in the state of Nevada. If you're tuning in from out of state, please stay tuned because there might be some ways that our guests will help you with your philanthropic organizations in your state. Um, Today, I'm pleased to welcome to the program Paula Ramirez. She's the Navigator Program Manager for Foster Kinship. This is an organization that helps keep the home in the family. So, welcome to the program, Paula. Thanks for taking time out
Thank you so much
sharing
for
your day with
having
us.
us. Yes.
So, could you please give us a brief overview of what Foster Kinship does and when it was founded?
Yes. So Foster Kinship is a nonprofit that was founded in 2011, and our sole purpose is to support kinship families. So that's any time that a child isn't able to live with their parents, which is typically due to some form of abuse or neglect, and they're instead being raised by a relative. So we serve tons of grandparents, great grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and sometimes a close family friend like a godparent. And so the child lives with this kinship caregiver, which means that they don't have to go into the traditional foster care system with strangers. So our goal is to support kinship families and making sure that children who've already experienced really hard early life experiences of not being with their parents are then able to stay with their family, which we know is best for them in the long term.
Great. Now, when you say caring for the family um, and its grandparents, does that extend to uncles and aunts and cousins and
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody in the family or a close family friend. So, somebody who had a pre existing relationship with the child before they were no longer able to be with their parents, we consider them fictive kin caregivers. So, a kinship or a fictive kin caregiver is all part of that umbrella. So, whoever the child is with, whether it's a cousin, sometimes we have adult siblings who are raising
sure?
the kiddos, or maybe a great aunt. So any relative or kinship, fictive kin caregiver, we will serve.
Great. Now, what made you join this organization? Because there's lots of worthwhile nonprofits out there already. So, what made you select Foster Kinship?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I even found out about foster kinship, I was actually working at an addiction treatment center, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was working with tons of parents who were struggling with addiction or mental health issues, and they themselves were not able to be raising their kiddos. So their kiddos were living with a relative or a close family friend. And at that time, I had no idea what kinship care meant or the term, so I wasn't familiar with it. But I was doing my master's in social work and had to do an internship. So I found foster kinship kind of by accident. And once I started doing my internship there, it really put the full family system into play for me, where I got to see how, the full system is impacted by domestic violence, substance use, homelessness, anything that can lead to a parent not being able to care for their child safely. And truthfully, at that point, I fell in love of being able to serve the full family system. And I will say that there is something very unique about foster kinship, about the passion that's poured into it. If I may share, our staff offers over 250 years of combined professional and personal experience to families. So most of our team has their own personal lived experience growing up in kinship care or foster care, or they've just worked in it professionally for a very long time. And so you can just feel the amount of passion and care that goes into the services. And at that point, I couldn't leave. So.
There you go. Well, we're going to see some of that passion and some of these people. Turn around, we're going to watch a little video that you shared with us.
Hi, my name is Audrey. I am program support here at Foster Kinship. We are working to keep home in the family by supporting kinship caregivers here in Nevada. We were established about 10 years ago by our director, Allison Caliendo. Our services include case management through our family advocates. We offer kinship licensing training as well as CPR and car seat safety courses. Our program manager offers family events. Our childcare staff work our respite program, and we have formula and diapers for those who need it.
Okay, that's a lovely little video. Put some faces there of the organization and some of their passion to work. So now you provide a host of services and programs for caregivers of these children, and we're going to talk about the programs later on. But right now, I would like to discuss some of the services that you have. So the main ones that you appear to have is case management, training, and advocacy. So let's talk a little bit about case management.
Yes. So we know that for our families, typically they are beginning to care for children in the middle of a crisis. Usually there's not a ton of planning or preparation that goes into it in advance because, again, we're dealing with maybe parents are incarcerated, maybe they've passed away, maybe they're just really struggling with substances. And so it's happening in a time of crisis for our families. So they just step in to make sure that these kids are safe and have a home with them. But after that, they don't necessarily know what options exist for them, what resources there are. So they call us and we do a complete intake and assessment with them. And we figure out what resources are available for this family and what are their long-term goals. And from there, we pair them up with a family advocate who really walks through their case management journey with them and make sure that they are stabilized with financial resources, legal resources, community connection, and emotional support.
Boy, you've got to be a godsend to a lot of these people because, as you said, they're faced with dealing with a situation at a time of crisis. So for you to plug up those holes. And by the way, I don't think it's an accident that you discovered Foster Kinship. I think there's something greater forces out there.
I agree.
You say you help out with the legal, financial, and support services. Do you help them out with getting licenses? Because I'm sure there's all kinds of bureaucracy that.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So it does depend. There are different types of kinship families, which really depends on whether or not the child welfare system is involved. Because for some families, the child welfare agency intervened and did remove the child from the parents, but placed them with a caregiver. And so those families do have the option to become a licensed kinship foster parent. And we actually do contract with all 3 child welfare agencies in Nevada. And we are kind of the middle people who help them meet all of the criteria to become licensed, but then the agency does the official home study and approval. But we provide case management to those families. We provide the training services that are required for them, so teaching them what it means and how to safely care for these children. And that includes CPR and car seat and a host of other services. So we prepare everything for them and then send it off for final approval by the agency. But there's also a huge number of families who have no system involvement. So CPS never intervened or isn't currently involved. And maybe grandma just saw that her daughter was struggling to raise her grandchildren, so she just stepped in to make sure they were safe. And so for those families, that may look like guardianship or adoption. And so we're able to help them navigate those systems by making sure they have access to documents. There's legal fees that most families can't afford, so we do a lot of fundraising so that we can pay for those legal fees for families. And then if they need notary services, access to a copier or printer, so we try to make sure that we can resolve any barrier along that journey so that they can ultimately get the legal custody that they need so that they can take their kiddos to the doctors or enroll them in school.
Cool. You mentioned CPS, and just in case there are a few viewers out there that aren't familiar with CPS, that stands for Child Protective Services. So, which brings me in a way to my next question. How do people hear about you? Is it through Child Protective Services or social services or word of mouth or?
All of the above. So
Yes.
we work really hard to put ourselves in any of the community spots where families may be. And so a huge referral source for us are the child welfare agencies. So there's 3 in Nevada, and we do have partnerships with them where any family, any relative or fictive kin caregiver who gets placement of a child, we get sent their information so that we can reach out and offer our services. But we've also developed really close partnerships with other community resources like the Legal Aid Center, the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services, schools, libraries, because often families are kind of scared to reach out because they're fearful that maybe their grandkiddos will be removed. And so we try to make it very safe and comfortable for them to know that there is help available and they don't need to be fearful of reaching out.
Great. On that uplifting note, we're going to take a brief sponsorship break. Please stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Budget deficits, national debt, presidential elections, government shutdowns, global conflicts in Europe, global conflicts in the Middle East, global pandemics, interest rates, rising inflation. Markets go up and markets go down for reasons nobody can control. Don't let the volatility of the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Your financial strategy can make all the difference. I'm Joshua Dowden. At Priority Wealth Partners, your goals are our goals. We believe people can live better lives with smart financial education and knowledge. We work closely with clients to match strategy with individual needs. Our personal financial strategies have helped investors accomplish their goals while reducing market volatility, and we can help you too. You've worked hard to get where you are now. Your financial plan should work hard for you in retirement. Conveniently located in downtown Summerlin, my name's Joshua Dowden. Call me today for a free consultation. 702-808-6513. That's 702-808-6513.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the program, and welcome back, Paula Ramirez, representing Foster Kinship. Thank you again for being with us today. Now, in this section, I'd like to discuss some of the programs you have, and your programs cover a multitude of subjects. So, if we can try and talk a little bit about each one of them. The first one, I think, from what I can see, it appears to be your main one. That's the Kinship Navigator program. And that's what you're managing right now, okay?
That is
so.
correct.
Tell us a little bit about the Kinship Navigator program, please, if you can.
Yeah, so that really encompasses all of our intake and case management services. So that's typically a family's entry point into working with us. And really, it's an evidence-based family stabilization program. And so when a family first contacts us, we complete a thorough intake, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure that we know what are all of the resources that they could potentially tap into and what are their goals long term. And then from there, we go into case management. And so there's 4 key domains that we look at in the Navigator program, and it's legal stability, financial stability, community connection, and emotional support. And through there, each of those domains has more specific goals that we identify with the family. And ultimately, what we're trying to ensure is that our families can provide safe, stable, and nurturing homes for their children and make sure that long-term they have the resources that they need to keep these children in their care. Because we know that it's really hard for our caregivers. The average kinship caregiver is a single grandmother living on a fixed income. So she's already, not super resourced herself, and now she's caring for multiple children. So we know it can be a burden, and we want to keep those kids with their family as much as possible. And the Navigator program, our model is evidence-based, and there's only a handful of evidence-based Navigator programs throughout the country. So that is a really incredible achievement for us, knowing that our services do truly make an impact for our families.
Nice. And when you say you manage the case and you finally get it where these children can stay with their grandmother, do you provide ongoing support after everything's settled down, or do the grandparents reach out to you if they need further assistance, or how does the long term?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And so they start off in our Navigator program, which is really focused on family stabilization. And once they complete their Navigator goals, at that point, we're connecting them with our other 4 programs, which we'll talk about, because the other programs are actually focused a bit more on family healing. Because we don't want to just focus on stabilizing you right now, but we want to make sure that in 1, 5, 10 years, the caregiver and the children have the tools that they need to heal some of these generational cycles of abuse and neglect and have an opportunity for these kids to have a more vibrant future. So we bridge them to our other programs so that they keep receiving ongoing support focused on healing.
Okay. So now those ongoing support programs, we've got a couple more that I saw. One of them, I'm assuming, is the Child, Youth and Prevention program. Would you like to talk a little bit about that program?
Yes, yeah. So that is the program where we actually work directly with our children. The other programs are more focused on working with the caregiver, but in our child and youth intervention program, we actually have the children come to our office and work with our trauma-informed childcare team. And that team offers a variety of services tailored for different developmental age ranges. So we have some services for infants, newborns, to toddlers, to teenagers. So we cover the full spectrum. And really, all of those services have two key goals. One is to give the caregiver a break. So they can bring their kiddos to our office and just get some relief for a couple of hours where they can focus on their own needs, whether that's going to the doctors, going grocery shopping, or maybe just taking a nap where, our caregivers can have a few moments to themselves. So that's one goal. But the second one is also teaching our kiddos some coping skills. So while all of our services are designed to be fun and engaging, there's also an underlying layer of it being trauma informed, teaching healthy coping skills, and having them also meet other children who are also living in kinship care.
No, you've got quite a few real nice programs here going.
Thank you.
And what about your Training Institute program?
Yes, our Kinship Training Institute, there's a variety of services provided in there that I mentioned trauma-informed before. These are also all trauma-informed. So we provide workshops and training classes for our caregivers because we know that when you're raising a child who has experienced early life abuse or neglect, the parenting techniques need to be different because these kiddos have gone through some really hard experiences, and those experiences can manifest in some challenging behaviors. So we want to make sure that our caregivers are fully equipped on how to best raise a child who needs to be parented in a different way. So again, those are tons of workshops and parenting classes, but we also do resource fairs, conferences, and then that is also home to all of the licensing services. So for families who are pursuing becoming a kinship licensed foster parent, we can provide them the classes, CPR, car seat, all of the requirements.
Wow. Boy, you really have touched on all the bases, even when you go into things like car seats, you're going down to the weeds at that level. I mean, a lot of thought and organization has gone behind foster kinship. It truly has. Now, the other program that you have is Kinship Advocacy, and I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, but would you like to elaborate a little bit further on your Kinship Advocacy program?
Yes, absolutely. So I mentioned with the Navigator program that we want to make sure families have what they need today to safely care for their children, but we also are looking at long term. And so this is where the Kinship Advocacy Network comes into play, that we can help families stabilize today, but we want to look at the bigger system and make sure that things are more equitable for them. One of the biggest difficulties is that kinship families, there's very few resources that exist for them, especially in comparison to a traditional foster parent who's taking in kiddos that they don't have, that they're not a relative or don't have that pre-existing relationship with them. There are far more resources available to those families than for kinship families. So they're at a big disadvantage. And part of our long-term goals is creating policy changes that to create more resources and system change to make sure that our kinship caregivers also have access to all of the resources and supports that they need.
Wow. Very, very comprehensive programs. You've got extremely comprehensive programs. We're going to take another brief sponsorship break, and please stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Country roads take me home to the place where I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Comes a triple yodel.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business, Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at pacificcoastcap.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you again, Paula Ramirez, for being with us today from Foster Kinship. Let's talk a little bit about the Kinship Family Support Group, because this is quite important too.
Yeah. So we offer a host of different support groups to our kinship caregivers, and these are online, in person, different times of the month and hours, because we care a lot about flexibility and making sure that our families have access to the emotional support that's needed. Because again, if we take a second to zoom out, our kinship caregivers are truly heroes. They are flipping their lives upside down to, safely care for their relatives' children. And for many of them, they were in retirement or they have their own children that they're caring for. And so they've paused everything in their own life to make sure that they're doing what's needed for their family. And we know that that is very hard. So we provide these support groups as a space where our kinship caregivers can get together, meet other people in similar situations, and have the space where they can talk, vent, get access to resources, maybe get tips from another kinship caregiver about something that helped their family.
Great.
And that's another way that families can stay involved with us long term.
Nice.
We have many families who come use our services every month for years on end. And as their kids get older, they transition to different services for their age range. So it's really beautiful to see how we can keep our families connected with us for years.
Well, you're probably a nice security blanket for them too, just knowing that you're always there. So nice program too. And the last of your programs is Marcys Heart, the Caregivers Corner Market. So you've got a little brief clip here that we'd like to have a look at. So let's watch it.
Hello, my name is Christine, and I just wanted to share a little bit about Marcys Heart with you.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I just want to welcome you to the Caregiver Corner at Marcys Heart. The deal with the Caregiver Corner, this is all about you to enjoy your time, peace and quiet, and shop for things that you might need or want for you and your family, whatever we have available.
Anyone that's 13 years of age in your household is welcome to come with you and shop, and we do encourage teenagers to come and shop for themselves. Children under 2, you can bring if you can carry them or if they're in a stroller. You can sign up to shop once a month on our website, or you can give us a call and we'd be happy to make you an appointment.
Caregiver Corner is donation based, so there's a wide variety for everyone, all different sizes. If you have things that you'd like to bring in to us so that we have more donations, we'll take them. Please, if you get something here that doesn't work out for you, that's perfectly fine. Bring it back. Somebody else will definitely use it. There's not a whole lot. So use what you can, enjoy it, bring it back, bring other stuff in, swap it out. It's perfect for seasons.
We are open for appointments every Wednesday and Saturday from 11 to 2. Appointments are made for 20 minutes, and during that time, you and one teen or adult in your household can come in and shop for what you need. Everything that we offer is completely free.
Mostly the Caregiver Corner. It's supposed to be a caregiver's time to rest, relax, and enjoy some stuff for themselves. You do a lot for the kids. It's about time somebody does something for you.
Well, that program certainly looks like a labor of love. Would you like to expand a little bit on that? Because that's a huge operation in and of itself.
Yes. So Marcys Heart Resource Center is our on-site distribution site where we take gently used or new donations from the community and we redistribute those to our families. So that includes anything that you might need to be suddenly raising a child. So diapers, wipes, car seats, cribs, clothes, shoes, because again, this is often happening in a moment of of crisis, and families might not have their home set up to now be raising an infant or 3 toddlers. So Marcys Heart is really critical in making sure that families have the tangible resources that they need right away. And one special service that we offer is our Caregiver Corner Market. So of course we provide services to the children, but our market is actually designed for our adults and our teenagers because sometimes there's less attention given to them. And so families can sign up for a slot in our market, and it's fully set up to look like a store, have it be really hospitable, clean, organized, and only a few families are in there at a time so that they can get a little bit of retail therapy in and get what they need. And again, we put in more adult and teenage clothes and shoes in there so that they can actually get resources for themselves as well as the children they're caring for.
That's quite an operation. That's got to require a lot of human resources just keeping that turning around.
Absolutely.
Do you have plenty of volunteers to do that, or are you always looking for volunteers?
We are always looking for volunteers.
Like most organizations.
Yes. Marcys Heart it's really run on love from the community, and that includes volunteer time and the donations that we receive. So volunteers are critical for the operations of Marcys Heart. And so we're always needing folks to come in and, they can help us sort through items, because that's one thing is that we do look through every piece of clothing or shoes that come through our door, and we're cleaning them, and we're also making sure that they're in good shape to give to our families, because we want to make sure if we're giving it out to our kiddos that it's something in good condition for them. And so we need many hands to make that happen, of sorting items, cleaning them. And then we also have folks who run the market so that if caregivers come in and are shopping for themselves and need a little bit of assistance, we have volunteers or staff members who are there to help them navigate the market.
Now, you mentioned that the volunteers that come in, their main qualification or their main reason is love. So is that the main qualification you're looking for, that they've got a passion for this and they've just got a dedicated, giving heart? Is that?
That's really all we need. Yeah. Somebody who's willing to come in, help us look through some clothes and shoes and make sure that we're giving good items that our families really need.
Okay. Now, is your staff is it manned all by volunteers, or do you have a paid staff as well?
So yeah, we'd have paid staff. So we have about 37 paid employees that operate all of our programs. And then in addition, we have tons of wonderful volunteers who really support us through Marcys Heart and our family events.
Cool. And are you looking for, do you have any job opportunities opening, or looking for more board members?
We don't have any job opportunities at the moment, but like I mentioned, we're always in need of our volunteers, and it also helps them see the work that we do on a daily basis. So it's a really nice opportunity for them to get to know us as well, the team, the services that are happening live. They may get to see some of the families that are coming in to get the clothes and shoes that they need. So it can be very special because they get to see the work happening, and they're also contributing to making sure that it happens, well for our families.
Cool. Now, how does your organization get funded? Because there's an awful lot, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts in Foster Kinship. How do you get your funding? Do you get government grants, or is it corporate donations, individuals?
A combination of all of it. We do have some local government contracts. So we do partner with the 3 child welfare agencies in Nevada to provide the services that they need to become licensed. So we do contract to provide licensing classes. I mentioned CPR and car seat, case management. So that makes up one portion of it. But for the grand majority of our families who don't have child welfare involvement, we are really active in seeking out grants and community foundations, corporate grants, where we can provide equitable services to those families as well, because there's virtually no designated state or government resources for families who are outside of the child welfare system. So we work really hard to raise funds and provide all of the same services for them and make sure that at the end of the day it's equitable.
Now, do you have fundraisers throughout the year to help get you any shortfall in money that you have or might have?
Yeah, we actually just wrapped up our largest fundraiser of the year in September. It was incredible. We raised over $50,000, and that was largely from individuals in the community. So that is our key yearly fundraiser where we ask for support. But we do accept donations from the community on an ongoing basis. So whether, if anybody has some clothes, shoes, anything that they are no longer using and would like to bring it to our office, we accept donations during any of our open business hours. And again, that will go directly to Marcys Heart and then be redistributed to a Kinship family.
Boy. Have you any idea of how many families that you've connected over the years? Do you have any numbers on that?
Oh, yeah. So, well, just to take a step back. So in Nevada, there's approximately 30,000 children that are growing up in kinship care. So I think that's a really important number to highlight because the majority of us, me included, before I found Foster Kinship, no one really knows what a kinship family is until you define it. And suddenly you realize that they're everywhere, that all of us can remember whether we grew up in kinship care and didn't realize it, or, we had a neighbor who they were being raised by their grandparents or their aunt or their uncle. So it is everywhere. We just don't always realize it. And so that's across Nevada. And our services do meet families throughout the state of Nevada. So we have an office in Reno as well as here in Vegas. So since we have been established in 2011, we've served over 11,000 kinship families, and that's just growing. So we hit 11,000 just a few weeks ago. So I'm excited to see when we're running 2024 numbers where we end up, because we do serve approximately 700 families a month throughout all of our programs.
That's huge.
Yes.
You're to be commended and congratulated, you and the whole team at Foster Kinship. It's an amazing program, and you're doing amazing work for our community, and I thank you for that. Before we wrap up, would you like to give out your contact information so people can visit your website or call you if they need to know more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is fosterkinship.org, and that hosts all of our programs, our services, ways that the community can contact us. We also have a page, fosterkinship.org/volunteer, if you're interested in volunteering with us, as well as fosterkinship.org/donate if you would like to provide any donations to our agency. And then our phone number is 702-546-9988. You can call us, ask to speak with me, and we'd be happy to get you connected.
Thank you for sharing that information with us. And thank you again, Paula, for spending time with us today, for coming out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. And hopefully we've raised some awareness for Foster Kinship. And I'd certainly like to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in this week. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at stephen@thegiftofgiving.vegas. I'd also like to thank our show's producer, John Stiles, and station owner for allowing me to host this program here. And I would not have this program at all were it not for my sponsors. I would like to thank Pacific Coast Capital, Priority Wealth Partners, the Firelight Barn, and my business partner, RJ Champion. You'll see his message right at the end of this program. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you will join us again next week. In the meantime, please stay safe, be kind to one another. Bye for now.
Mr. RJ Champion is proud to sponsor WWDBTV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.